In our government, in our society, we believe the people are the sovereign. Now, why are the people the sovereign? Because I said so? Because you're the child of God. And this is what the founders of your Declaration of Independence believed. This is what the founders of this country believed, whether you believe it or not. This is what they believed. This is how they created the greatest country on the face of the earth. They said, God is sovereign. We are his children. When it comes to creating some kind of mechanism to govern ourselves, the people are sovereign. The only legitimate government is the government that involves the consent of the sovereign, we the people. Which brings me to this great book that I just wrote on power, which discusses all this and much, much more. This volume, which is probably the most important, hopefully the most impactful book I've ever written, I condensed it into a book like this, so people will read it. So it's not just used as a doorstop or on somebody's shelf who says, I have a Mark Levin book. I want people to read it, to understand it. And I get into this, I get into Islamism, I get into the issue of power. We don't discuss power. We discuss liberty, we discuss rights, affordability, equality. But power is the key to all of it. It's the key to everything. And it doesn't get the focus that it needs, especially when we're trying to promote liberty and unalienable rights and fight against tyranny and the centralization of government. It's a much more complicated subject than it may seem. And yet, when it's understood, it's a relatively simple subject. But first you have to confront it, you have to understand it, you have to unravel it. I want to read you a couple parts out of On Power. Certainly I can't read you all of it, but I want to encourage you, strongly encourage you, now more than ever, pre-order, acquire a copy of this book from Amazon.com. It's the least expensive book I've ever written. I told the publisher I wanted it to be the least expensive book I've ever written. Amazon, on top of it, puts a discount on it. So you can get this book right now for $23.99. The retail price is, $26.99? And the good thing about Amazon is when you pre-order a book, if they cut the discount even more, you get the better price. Montesquieu, as you know, if you've listened to me before, was the most widely read and understood philosopher during the constitutional period. The framers of your Constitution were extremely well read, and they believed in the fusion of faith and the Enlightenment. Montesquieu was one of the greats of the Enlightenment period, as was Locke, as were some others. This is how we get the concept of sovereignty. God is sovereign. Even those of you who don't consider yourselves very religious or of faith, the founders of your country did. They weren't fundamentalists or that sort of thing. What I'm talking about is they embraced the idea of God-given rights, unalienable rights. What does that mean? Unalienable why? Because they're not created by man and they're not given by man. Individual liberty is an unalienable right. Why? Because some man gave it to you or some government gave it to you? No. In spite of government, in spite of mankind. Your sovereignty comes from God. Now, why is that important? Why is that important? For a lot of reasons, but why, in the context of what I'm discussing, is that important? Because in our government, in our society, we believe the people are the sovereign. Now, why are the people the sovereign? Because I said so? Because you're the child of God. And this is what the founders of your Declaration of Independence believed. This is what the founders of this country believed, whether you believe it or not. This is what they believed. This is how they created the greatest country on the face of the earth. They said, God is sovereign. We are his children. When it comes to creating some kind of mechanism to govern ourselves, the people are sovereign. The only legitimate government is the government that involves representation of we, the sovereign, the people. The consent of the sovereign, we, the people. You're the sovereign. That's why. The power belongs to you. Now, we delegate authorities under our Constitution or in other societies and other forms, because we also know that pure democracy does not ensure liberty. It doesn't ensure rights. It doesn't ensure your individual sovereignty, let alone our collective sovereignty. It's called the mob. Just because people can vote, that doesn't mean people can vote and steal your your unalienable rights and your individual liberty. That's the point. No form of government can do that, and other people are not free to do that. You have your individual sovereignty, and you have sovereignty that is to be recognized in the form of government we set up. Even if you don't have a government, Locke wrote about it. You have a civil society. Civil societies come before free governments, free countries. And even in a civil society, I explain all of this in the book, even in a civil society, that's not technically a government. There have to be rules, there have to be procedures in order to ensure your liberty and your rights and the liberty and rights of everybody who's in the civil society. This is important. This is very, very important to understand. So what are these rights and where do they come from? They don't come from Ernie Grabotsky. They don't come from Frank Smith. They don't come from Sally Johnson. They don't come from Muhammad Ali. They don't. They come from the community, the consent of the community, recognizing the sovereignty of the individual. Marx eliminates all that. Communism and fascism eliminate all that. Marx eliminates all that. He says, no such thing as individual sovereignty, no such thing as God, no such thing as the sovereignty of we the people. That's all intended to undermine the workers' paradise, all intended to undermine equality, all intended to undermine fill in the blank. He said, not just religion, but faith is mysticism. It is a totally different social construct that serves as a barrier to human growth. So no religion, no faith. The nuclear family has its own social mechanism where the parents rule the children. The state should rule the children. We just had a Supreme Court decision on this, did we not? Where we had a school board that said, we will teach your children what we want to teach them, whether you like it or not. The Supreme Court said no. Why is that important? It's obviously important as a granular matter, but it's also important because it goes right back to our founding. Families, parents, that social structure. There's a reason it's destroyed in communist China. There's a reason it's destroyed in North Korea. There's a reason it was destroyed by the Cambodians. It's a reason there's destroyed. They must destroy the links to other social and civic events that existed before communism. It must all go.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.